Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a live swatch video of the brand new Dose of Colors Black Party Single Eyeshadows. These eyeshadows have been incredibly hyped up all over social media. I have seen multiple videos of people doing tutorials with these eyeshadows, but I have yet to see a full-on review of how they perform, how they compare to other brands, and so on and so forth. I am not on the PR list for Dose of Colors, so I have all 20 shades here that I purchased with my own money. This is going to be a very honest review and a very fair review at that. In this video, I'm going to be doing live swatches on my eyes as well as on the back of my hand. I will do arm swatches showing you guys how each shade compares to each other in this particular line, as well as how some of these shades compare to different brands that I have in my personal collection. At the end of the video, I will do a full review on what I think of these eyeshadows, how they perform, and if I think they're worth your money. I will leave timestamps down below in case you're in a hurry and you can't watch this entire video because I know that it's going to be incredibly long. I want to remind you guys, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. If you are new here, then welcome. I hope you're here to stay. And also, don't forget to hit that bell button down below because it will notify you every single time I upload a video. But enough of the intro, let's get on to these swatches. to compare these shadows with certain shades that I have in my collection that I found to be a little bit comparable. They're not going to be 100% dupes, but just in case you are someone who is on a budget, then I would highly recommend kind of considering each option that I'm going to show you. This is ColourPop's Amaze Super Shock Shadow. This is Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in Shall We Dance. This is L'Oreal Infallible Shadow in the shade Amber Rush. This is Makeup Geek's Foiled Eyeshadow in the shade Grandstand. And this is Maybelline's Single Eyeshadow in the shade Nude Glow. This is Dose of Colors Desi X Katie Suze. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in the shade Cheap Date. Dose of Colors Desi X Katie Noli. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Heart of Gold. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in the shade Thirsty Girl. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Lock and Key. Dose of Colors Desi X Katie in the shade Harpoon. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in Heart of Gold. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in Telepathy. Makeup Geek's Foiled Eyeshadow in Jester. Makeup Geek's Duochrome Eyeshadow in Typhoon. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in Olive You. Dose of Colors Desi X Katie in Harpoon. L'Oreal Infallible Eyeshadow in Gilded Envy. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in Reflection. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in Jackpot. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in Coconut. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in Teal Me More. Makeup Geek's Foiled Eyeshadow in Houdini. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in Patchwork. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in Rex. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in Envy. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in My Jam. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in the shade Cricket. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Wild and Free. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Double Take. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Hot Mesh. And Dose of Colors Desi X Katie Eyeshadow in the shade Turbo Sun. This is Maybelline's Single Eyeshadow in NY Silver. Makeup Geek's Foiled Eyeshadow in High Wire. Makeup Geek's Foiled Eyeshadow in Charmed. Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Slinky. ColourPop's Super Shock Shadow in the shade Meow. And Dose of Colors Black Party Eyeshadow in the shade Sky's the Limit. So now I'm going to go into the review and if I think that these eyeshadows are worth your money. So first I want to mention the claims of these eyeshadows. They claim to be cruelty-free, gluten-free, paraben-free, and talc-free. They have multi-dimensional reflex in them to give an ultra dazzling finish. There's really no other claims on the Dose of Colors website or the Ulta website. I did make sure to check both. These eyeshadows retail individually for $20 each. There are 2.2 grams in each pan, so if you figure out the math, you pay $9.09 per gram for these eyeshadows. That is extremely expensive. I do want to give you guys an idea of how expensive that is because in the ColourPop Super Shock shadows, which are also very glittery and pigmented, you get 2.1 grams, which is 0.1 of a gram less than these eyeshadows here by Dose of Colors. You pay $5 for each of the ColourPop eyeshadows, and if you do the math out, you pay $2.38 per gram. So I would prefer to pay $2.30 per gram of a very similar eyeshadow versus paying $9.09 per gram for a eyeshadow that pretty much does the same thing. So the website says that these eyeshadows apply the best using your fingers. So in the live swatches you guys did see that's how I applied each eyeshadow. I found that they applied very well. I didn't have to work too hard, and I didn't need to use a particular base such as a glitter glue to get these eyeshadows to be super pigmented. They were already super pigmented on their own. However, I did use a glitter glue for one of my eyes for this makeup look because I wanted to see if it helped the application at all. I didn't really see too much of a difference, which is good. However, I still haven't worn these eyeshadows all day long to see if a glitter glue helps the eyeshadow stay a little bit longer, although I would assume so. I typically use glitter glues for these particular types of eyeshadows, so to me that's not a big deal. It is very impressive that these eyeshadows apply super pigmented all on their own. It also says that if you want a softer coverage, then to use an eyeshadow brush for application. However, I feel like if anyone buys these eyeshadows, they're buying them because they're not looking for a softer coverage. They're buying them because they want that bold, glittery, intense look. I did find it interesting that on the Dose of Colors website, they do have a little bit of a disclaimer. They say that colors may vary due to a number of factors, including but not limited to monitor resolution settings, lighting, and skin tone. I think that these eyeshadows are going to look the best in a very dim type of lighting. So if you want to wear these eyeshadows for going out to dinner or just going out in general at night, I think that they would look really, really pretty. Of course, you're going to see the sparkle in daylight, but these eyeshadows are so intense and most of them are really dark that I would probably save these eyeshadows for a nighttime look. Packaging is usually not super important to me, but I did just want to make a note of it. It's square, it's matte with a duochrome logo for Dose of Colors. It has the product name on the back, so it says Black Party Eyeshadow, and in the center it has the actual eyeshadow name. This compact feels very sturdy. It's a little bit heavy for how small it is. It doesn't feel cheap at all. I do find that it's a little bit difficult to open, but then again, that just might be me, you never know. I open them using my fingertips. Sorry for the swatches. Just open them with your fingertips and you should be good, but they are a little bit difficult to open for me. They do have a small mirror right there, as you can see. Sorry for blinding you guys. But the mirror is as big as the packaging itself. At first I thought, why did they even bother putting a mirror in these particular eyeshadows, because the mirror is so small. However, I did find it useful doing detail work. So all of the live swatches that I did in this video, I did using this small mirror in here. So in terms of blending my crease and applying my brow bone highlight or anything like that, I wouldn't use this mirror. I would only use this mirror once I'm applying the eyeshadow on my lid, or if I'm doing the lower lash line or doing my liner or small detail types of work like that. Would I elect to pay more money for having a mirror in here as well as having a sturdy type of packaging? The mirror necessarily not, but the sturdy packaging I do like, just because I have accidentally dropped this product and the shadow didn't break. It felt like it really is securing the product that's in here. So in case you bring these to travel with you, I don't think that they're going to break. I did obviously order all of these online and none of them broke for me in the mail, so that is always a good sign as well. I do want to talk about the texture of these eyeshadows. So I personally find these eyeshadows to be dry. I find them to be dry, I find them to be gritty. Some of them are a little bit smoother than others, but the majority of these eyeshadows do feel dry to me. They're nothing like a very smooth foiled eyeshadow that we've used before or that we're used to. It's nothing like the cushiony type of texture that the ColourPop Super Shock shadows have. These have a very dry formula, at least in my opinion. Now, when you have glittery products like this, I always worry that it's only going to be glittery on top, and then once you finally dig into the product and scrape off that top layer, there's not going to be as much glitter. I don't find that to be the case with these particular eyeshadows. I do find that some eyeshadows have a little bit less glitter than others. For instance, I think Sizzle doesn't have much glitter to it. I don't think Caffeine Queen has much glitter to it, and I don't think Night Sky has much glitter to it either, but you guys saw these swatches, so you can be the judge of how much glitter that you personally prefer in your eyeshadows. But I do want to say that the majority of these eyeshadows do have a glitter all the way throughout. There were, however, a couple disappointments with these eyeshadows that make me question whether or not this entire collection is worth the money. The first thing that I noticed was that there are a lot of shades that look very similar to one another. So the reason why I wanted to show you guys swatch comparisons of each and every shade in this line next to each other, based off of color category of course, I wanted to show you guys which particular shades look almost identical. The color scheme that I personally found this issue the most were in the taupes and purples for this line. So I personally found Caffeine Queen, Double Take, Wild and Free, Hot Mesh to look almost identical. Hot Mesh is my favorite out of those four. It's a little bit darker than the other three, and it has tons of sparkle in it. Hot Mesh is actually the shadow that I have on my lids right now, in case you guys were curious. So out of those four, Hot Mesh is the one that I would personally choose, but go back to the swatches on my arm, to the taupes and the purples, to see how identical each shade is to each other. I also found I Need Space and X-Ray to look almost identical. If I had to pick out a very slight difference, I would say that I Need Space is a little bit more of a graphite, so it's more of like a very dark gray color versus X-Ray I find to be a black. If you wanted to buy I Need Space and X-Ray, I wouldn't buy them both. I would buy only one. I don't like Caffeine Queen. I feel like it doesn't have enough sparkle. It doesn't have enough oomph to it to really belong in this line, personally in my opinion. So I would skip out on Caffeine Queen. Leave Me Alone and Night Sky at first in the pans looked incredibly similar to one another, but once I swatched them, you can definitely tell that Leave Me Alone is more of a green. However, Night Sky, personally, I don't think it's worth your money at all. I think it's too much of a black base, and I didn't see as much sparkle in it that I would have personally liked. It's supposed to have a teal reflect sparkle in it. When I swatched it, when I applied it to my eyes, I really didn't see that sparkle at all, so I would not pay $20 for it. I also did not like the shade Sky's the Limit. It's a medium gray / silver. It has a lot of silver reflect to it. However, the reason why I don't like it is because that particular shade I found to be very sheer compared to how dramatic all of the other eyeshadows are in this collection. I found myself having to go over the swatch multiple times in order to show its intensity. And Sky's the Limit isn't too much of a standout shade that I would personally spend my money on it. I really did like the shade Shall We Dance. It's the lightest shade in this collection. It's a beautiful rose gold champagne type of shade. However, if you saw all of the dupes or comparison swatches, it is very similar to the shades that I have in my collection, especially ColourPop's Amaze Super Shock Shadow. So if I would have known that Shall We Dance would have been almost identical to that shadow, then I probably would have gone with the ColourPop version. However, like I said, Shall We Dance is super beautiful. It's a very metallic shade, but it has a very minimal silver glitter to it, and it applies beautifully. I wore it the other day, so I do really like that shadow in case you don't have a shadow similar to it in your collection. Sizzle is a shade that is unlike any other that I personally have in my collection. I tried looking for dupes online. There were a couple vibrant reds that ColourPop had on their website. However, I don't personally know if they are 100% dupes, just because Sizzle is such a unique shade. Sizzle is probably one of the driest formulas in this collection, and you do have to build it up. It's not just a one swipe pigmentation. Since this shadow is $20, I expect it to be super pigmented with just one swipe. So just keep in mind that if you do get Sizzle, then you do need to build it up a little bit. Reflection, I think, is a unique shade because Reflection can almost pull a taupe shade. It can pull a brown, it can pull a little bit of green. I think Reflection is the most versatile shade in this collection just because when I swatched it compared to other shades and other color categories, it blended in perfectly fine. So I thought that Reflection is a very unique shade just because of its versatility. Olive You and Jackpot are both beautiful greens. I wish I had ColourPop's Super Shock shadows in the shade Hammered and in the shade Disco Ball still. I used to have them. I used a ton of Hammered and the other one just dried up on me, so I don't have them in my collection anymore. If you have Hammered in your collection or Disco Ball in your collection, Disco Ball was a limited edition shade. Just remembering how those shades swatched next to each other, I think that those two shades are very similar to the shades Olive You and Jackpot in this collection. I think the shade that most people are excited about in this collection is Teal Me More. It is such a beautiful shade. It's a beautiful blue. It has sparkle in there, and it's really getting everyone to jump out of their comfort zone and try wearing blue eyeshadow. I do think that my comparison swatches were very, very similar to Teal Me More. Was there an exact dupe? No, absolutely not. But I do think that they were very, very similar. However, Teal Me More is definitely one of my favorite eyeshadows in this collection. So if you guys ask me, do I think that these eyeshadows are worth your money? My final answer is, if you have ColourPop, go with ColourPop. Yes, these eyeshadows are incredibly beautiful. They are incredibly pigmented. They're incredibly glittery. But if you are on a budget, which I'm sure most of you are, I'm on a budget. I probably shouldn't even have bought these eyeshadows, but I wanted to make this video for you guys. I think that ColourPop eyeshadows are just as good as these, and they have a much better and smoother consistency. Now, because of the ColourPop consistency, they do dry out after about a year or so, but they're $5. But that's it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Leave me any comments or questions down below, and if you guys would like to see a particular shade in a makeup tutorial, let me know down below in the comment section. If you are new to my channel, then welcome. I hope you're here to stay. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell button down below. That way you are notified every single time I upload a video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and being here with me today, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.